Hey everybody, this is Jason Walbrink with Banna Properties, and today I wanted to make a little video to talk about 10 things that you can do with vacant land. Now, in preparation for this video, I had to reduce it because there are quite a few more things that you could do, but today we're just going to cover 10 things that you can do with any type of vacant land. Now, obviously, certain types of property will be more suited for these uses than others. But it will give you the general idea and start thinking about it. So the first thing that you could do potentially with a piece of vacant land that you buy or own would be that you could live on your land. Who doesn't want to own a piece of property that they can live on, build a house on? I've got a picture here of a tree house, probably on a steep hillside. It looks like that's built. So all different types of property you can build on. There's another one in the desert, nice little cabin in the woods. And who wouldn't want to have a piece of property that they own and that they could potentially live on outside of the hustle and bustle of the city? So great option for rural land, vacant land, or even a lot that you might buy in the suburbs. Another thing that's becoming very popular lately is homesteading. So it's interesting that most of the United States was established by the homesteading movements in the 1800s, and homesteaders were often called that because they would go and they would stake their claim on their 40 acres of property under the U.S. government's Homestead Act. But nowadays people are coming back to those roots. Many times people want to have some chickens, they want to live away from things, they want to raise some food or some animals and raise their family in that environment. So homesteading would be a great option that you could do with a piece of vacant land. You would definitely need at least a few acres to do this successfully. Probably are not going to be able to homestead on a quarter-acre lot in the city. But if you get out to the outsides of the city and you were to buy 2, 3, 5, 10 acres, you could definitely create a nice homestead there. And that leads me into the third thing, which is farming. Now, there's a lot of farmland established in the U.S., like this picture here on the bottom left, where we see farming that's mechanized, that's mechanical, and often with different types of fertilizer. And there are even huge companies that have invested and own and control giant portions of farmland in the U.S. They're producing food. But maybe you have a different perspective. Maybe you would like to produce organic produce without all the chemicals and the fertilizers and the pesticides that little by little are destroying our bodies. Owning a piece of land, you could potentially create a wonderful organic farming operation like we see in the picture above. This is definitely an option you can do. And what's interesting is there are even places in the desert where there are organic farms through aquaponic farming, through greenhouse farming, different irrigation techniques. Even in areas of Texas, Arizona, and Nevada, there are farms that are in the desert and they have wells and pivot irrigation systems that basically produce and irrigate for those farms. So there are many things you could do in farming, and farming doesn't have to be thousands of acres in this huge operation. Remember that people have been farming for thousands upon thousands of years, oftentimes with small patches that provided for their families, and then they sold in their local communities. And there's a huge movement in the US right now with farmer markets. So you could produce organic produce and sell them at your local farmer's market and potentially even make a living doing that. The fourth thing that we can do on a piece of vacant land that we own is camping. And who doesn't want to sing Kumbaya around the campfire on occasion? Just seeing this picture on top here, with that view, it makes me want to go get out my tent and clean it up and air it out and go camp with my family. Some great memories can be formed camping, enjoying time in the outdoors, getting away from cell phone service and artificial lights and the noise and the pollution of city life, and slowing down a bit. Another thing that's often done on land that you own is hunting. Many people like to shoot and hunt and enjoy the outdoors. Sportsmen, people that would like to spend time bonding with their children, like this father here with his son. I know that personally I have enjoyed many times hunting with my father when I was a boy, and those are great memories that can be formed for a lifetime. So many properties have wild game in different areas. Now, obviously, even though you own the land, you still need to see the hunting laws in that state and follow those. But owning a piece of property offers a perfect opportunity to bond, to build memories, to enjoy the outdoors and hunting in a responsible way. Another thing is rest. With the craziness of life, the American pace of life, oftentimes the American dream actually can become a nightmare because we just work nonstop. So having a piece of land that you can get away to on the weekends or a couple of weeks a year or a day here and there to just simply rest, to put up your hammock, open up that camp chair, enjoy the silence, enjoy the views, whether it's near water, near mountains, whether you like desert or woodlands. There are all types of properties in the US that you can rest on, enjoy a good book, and disconnect. Another thing that many people like to do with property that they own is bird watching and animal watching. This is a great way to connect with nature. It goes very well with the previous few things that we mentioned. Outdoors activities like camping and resting and even hunting is just being out there and enjoying nature. Some people will even buy a larger piece of property and use it as a sort of a natural preserve, put out food and feeders, bird feeders and such for animals in order to observe those animals and just enjoy seeing animals in nature. It's a very beautiful thing to observe. A potential way you could actually even make money off land that you own is if the area is flat or it's in a high place that has good wind currents. You could potentially create a wind farm. So there are all kinds of wind farms with the current legislation that's in place in the United States. There's a big push for green energy. Wind is a type of green energy. It's renewable. And these wind farms are popping up all over the 50 states. So if your property is located in the right place, you could create a wind farm. Some people in their homesteads actually put up their own windmill to generate electricity for their house, their off-grid house. The ones that we see here are commercial wind farms, and a company will actually pay you yearly lease for your property in order to build that windmill on your property or those windmills, and it creates a cash flow of earnings for you to live off of. Another thing is you could develop your property for a commercial purpose. You could make a commercial storage lot or a self-serve mini storage. These are all over the United States, especially in areas around cities or towns that have colleges. A lot of college students like to use them. They don't cost a whole lot to build, and with some management, they can produce quite a bit of income. You could also put up a shop or a store, depending on the location of your property. And the final thing of the 10 things that you could do with vacant land is you can simply buy it to invest in your future. So many people are buying land right now. There's actually a huge boom on land in the United States because people think, I want to own something solid. The great thing about investing in land is it's a piece of property that you will own and that will be there for the future. You do the only thing you have to do is pay a little bit of property taxes every year, and it's yours. No one's going to take it away from you. You can leave it as an inheritance to your children and your children's children. And the famous quote by Mark Twain was, "Buy land. They aren't making any more of it." So it's very interesting. Oftentimes we are buying things that slowly deteriorate, like a vehicle or something of that sort. But land is something that has a lot of potential. As we saw in the previous 9 ideas, you could even potentially make your land produce or develop it. Maybe you buy land in the path of growth in areas that are developing where businesses are coming in. If you do a little research and you're aware of these growth areas and you're in the path of growth, it could be potentially a very profitable investment. Another thing is land banking is just holding on to it for the future as land values slowly increase in most places in the United States over the years and over the decades, and in the future sell it for more. Or, like I mentioned before, You could give it as an inheritance to your children. And in the worst of all cases, you own a piece of property that you can do recreation on, you can visit, you can build on, you can do whatever you want with it. So those are 10 ideas of things that can be done with vacant land. And the question I have for you is, do you own your own land? All right, this is Jason with Banna Properties. Thank you for watching this video.